Imagine this, 1783, and the Americans have just given King George III the ultimate "it's not you, it's us" breakup letter. The British Empire is left licking its wounds, trying to figure out where to send all those pesky criminals now that they can't ship them across the pond. But don't worry, because when one empire door closes, another opens, straight to the vast, uncharted lands of Australia. Yep, Australia, the sunburnt country, soon becomes Britain's go-to penal colony after Captain James Cook, the superstar explorer of his time, claimed it for the crown. By 1788, the first convicts are on the ground, probably wondering what they did to deserve this. Meanwhile, across the English Channel, France is cooking up its own revolution, setting the stage for the Napoleonic Wars, a saga that sees Britain flexing its imperial muscles and snagging new territories like Malta and South Africa. With Napoleon out of the way, Britain is free to expand its empire. No pesky European rivals in sight. Enter the Pax Britannica, a century where Britain struts around as the world's sole superpower, like a peacock in a garden full of pigeons. While Britain's empire is spreading like wildfire, the East India Company is making sure the cash keeps flowing, especially from China, where the British are busy pushing opium like it's going out of style. When the Chinese government finally says enough, Britain answers with cannons. And surprise, surprise, bins. Hong Kong falls into British hands, and China is left grappling with Britain's informal empire. Polite term for, "We'll let you keep your throne, but we're calling the shots now." But not everything is going smoothly in the empire. Take Afghanistan, for example. Britain, paranoid about Russian influence, decides to invade in what's now infamously known as the Great Game. Spoiler alert, it's a disaster. British and Indian troops get decimated by Afghan forces, proving that even empires can have really, really bad days. And let's not forget the Crimean War, where Britain teams up with France and the Ottoman Empire to keep Russia from getting too cozy in the Balkan. The war is brutal, but Britain and its allies come out on top, making sure Russia knows its place, at least for now. Across the Atlantic, Canada is quietly coming into its own. The borders with the US are finally set in stone, and Canada eventually gains autonomy as a dominion, meaning it can self-govern while still playing nice with Britain when it comes to foreign policy. Meanwhile, down under in New Zealand, the British are settling in, much to the Maoris' chagrin. At first, the Maori are okay with these newcomers, but it doesn't take long for them to realize that the Brits aren't just passing through. Cue a series of wars that, despite putting up a fierce fight, the Maori ultimately lose, paving the way for more European settlers. But while the British are busy populating New Zealand, back in Ireland, things are going from bad to worse. The potato famine hits, and the British response, or lack thereof, is nothing short of catastrophic. Forced to grow cash crops for export, the Irish are left with little to eat, and when the potatoes fail, millions starve or flee the country. It's a tragedy that scars Ireland forever and leaves a bitter taste toward the British. On the other side of the world, in India, things are heating up. The East India Company is running the show. Their rule is anything but smooth. Indian soldiers, known as sepoys, are fed up with low pay, broken promises, and the feeling that the British are trying to erase their culture. Final straw? New ammunition greased with animal fat, offensive to both Hindu and Muslim soldiers. When they refuse to use it, they're punished, sparking a full-blown rebellion. The Sepoy Mutiny is brutal, with both sides committing atrocities. But in the end, the British crush the revolt and tighten their grip on India, making it an official crown colony in 1858. Queen Victoria even gets a new title out of the deal, Empress of India. As the 19th century rolls on, Britain's empire keeps expanding, fueled by the Industrial Revolution. New technologies like steamships, railways, and telegraphs make it easier than ever for Britain to control its vast territory. But as the empire reaches its peak, new rivals emerge. The United States, fresh from its Civil War, Germany, newly unified and hungry for colonies, and Japan, eager to flex its own imperial muscles in Asia, all start challenging Britain's dominance. Africa becomes the new battleground for imperial, and in 1884, the Berlin Conference is called to carve up the continent between the European powers. Britain and France come away with the lion's share. The scramble for Africa is far from peaceful. African resistance is fierce, and although the British have the upper hand with superior weaponry, battles like Isandlwana show that the locals won't go down without a fight. By the turn of the century, the empire is at its territorial height. The cracks are starting to show. First World War brings new challenges, and although Britain emerges victorious, costly win. Ireland, long a thorn in Britain's side, finally breaks away in 1922, becoming an independent republic. Meanwhile, the Middle East, carved up from the remnants of the Ottoman Empire, becomes a hotbed of tension as Britain tries to balance competing interests in Palestine, leading to the eventual creation of Israel after World War II. The Second World War is another British victory, but it leaves the empire on the brink of bankruptcy. India, the jewel in the crown, finally gains its independence in 1947, but not without bloodshed. Partition of India into India and Pakistan leads to one of the largest migrations in history, with millions displaced and as many as 2 million dead. Post-war, the winds of change blow through the empire. Anti-imperialist sentiments grow, and former colonies start pushing for independence. Some, like Kenya, achieve it through bloody uprisings, while others, like Hong Kong, are handed back more peacefully. By 1997, when Hong Kong is returned to China, the British Empire, once the largest in history, is no more. So, what's the legacy of the British Empire? It's complicated. On one hand, it spread English, cricket, and railways across the globe. On the other, it left a trail of exploitation, conflict, and cultural upheaval. Love it or hate it, there's no denying that the British Empire shaped the world we live in today. And that, dear viewers, is the end of our imperial saga. Until next time.